Raffi walked alone through the grand Martian market, hands in his pockets and eyes on the ground. The red sky above was soft with clouds, and alien voices filled the air like music. Floating food stalls moved slowly between buildings, and tiny robots zipped around carrying glowing fruits. The market was full of life, color, and energy. But inside Raffi's heart, there was only silence. He had lived on Mars for 3 years now, working in a repair shop that fixed human and alien tech. It paid enough, and he had a small apartment near the SkyTrain station. He wasn't rich, but he wasn't poor either. He had friends, a job, a few hobbies, but there was one thing missing. Love. Back on Earth, Raffi had been rejected more times than he could count. Most of the time, he laughed it off. "It's fine," he'd say. "I've got time." But now, in this huge interstellar city where humans and aliens lived together, things felt worse. He saw couples everywhere. Some of them were even human-alien pairs. A human girl laughing with a green-scaled man. A tall insect-like creature holding flowers for her partner. It was strange and beautiful, but none of it was for him. Earlier that day, he had sent a message to someone he liked, Lena, a friend from the market. She replied kindly, but the answer was the same. "I think we're better as friends." The words stung more than he expected. So now here he was, walking under the orange lanterns of the alien bazaar, feeling smaller than ever. He passed a group of singing reptile-like traders, then a flower stall where purple blossoms floated in the air like bubbles. He paused there for a moment, watching the petals shimmer. One of them landed on his shoulder. He sighed, then suddenly raised his voice, half joking and half serious. "No one wants to marry me." He shouted. The words echoed louder than he intended. A few people turned their heads. A small alien child giggled. A vendor selling fried skyfish looked up. Surprised, Raffi blushed and scratched the back of his neck. "Just joking," he muttered, trying to walk away. But then, someone stepped in front of him. A tall figure stood there, dressed in a long silver cloak that shimmered with tiny lights. Her skin was pale blue with a smooth glass-like texture. Her eyes were large, bright, and deep like a calm ocean. She was not human, but she was beautiful in a way that made the whole world stop for a second. She looked straight at him and spoke in a soft, clear voice. "I do," Raffi blinked. "Wait. What?" "I do," she repeated. "You said no one wants to marry you." "That is incorrect. I do." Raffi stared at her in shock. Around them, people slowed down, curious. A group of flying drones hovered nearby, their lenses zooming in. A street musician stopped playing. Raffi laughed nervously. That was just a joke. I wasn't serious." The alien woman tilted her head. "You spoke with strong emotion. Among my people, such words are not made in jest. A cry like that is considered a bond call." "A bond call?" Raffi repeated. She nodded. "A declaration of loneliness. It is sacred. I am Vera, of the Elyari. I heard your cry. I answer it." Raffi had heard of the Elyari. They were one of the oldest spacefaring species in the galaxy, graceful, peaceful, and highly logical. They rarely expressed feelings, but were deeply respectful of emotional truth. Raffi felt his heart beat faster. "You're serious?" "Yes." Raffi took a step back. "Listen, Vera. I didn't mean to, call anyone. I was just feeling a little down, that's all." Vera's expression did not change. "May we sit and talk then?" "I will not force you." "But I do not believe your cry was meaningless. It had power." Raffi looked around. People were still staring. He nodded slowly. "Okay, 1 cup of tea." Vera smiled just a little. It was like watching the first light of dawn. They sat at a nearby floating cafe. The table rose up and hovered at chest level. A robot brought drinks. Raffi had hot chai with cinnamon. Vera ordered nothing but placed her hands in the sunlight, beam, absorbing it like a plant. "So, Raffi began, still unsure if he was dreaming. You really believe I sent some kind of signal? Yes. Many species have emotional frequencies. The Eliari feel them deeply, though we rarely act on them. You were sincere. That is rare. Raffi scratched his chin. I mean, I was sincere. But it's not like I expected someone to answer. Especially not like this. Vera tilted her head. Do humans not value sincerity? Raffi smiled faintly. We do. But sometimes we cover it with humor. It makes the sadness easier. That is, unfortunate, Vera said gently. But understandable. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Raffi asked, So you want to marry me just because I shouted something sad? No, Vera replied. I wish to understand you. I felt your loneliness and wanted to respond. If we find meaning in each other's presence, perhaps more can grow. I begin with honesty. Raffi looked at her. She was so calm, so sincere, and so strange, and yet something about her words touched him. No one had ever answered his pain before. No one had taken it seriously. He leaned back and laughed, not mockingly, but warmly. Okay, Vera, let's get to know each other. Her eyes glowed slightly. Thank you, Raffi. The red Martian sun lowered a bit in the sky. Around them, the market moved on buzzing, laughing, spinning. But at one small table, a man who felt unseen had been heard. And an alien woman who had never followed emotion before had taken her first step into it. Neither knew what would come next, but something had begun. The next day, Raffi found himself standing near the city's floating rail station, looking at the crowd but not really seeing anyone. His mind was still stuck on what had happened yesterday, that he had shouted something silly, something personal, just to release his sadness. And then an alien woman had walked up and said, I do. Now her voice echoed in his mind again and again. He wasn't sure if it was fate, a misunderstanding, or just strange alien behavior. But there was something about her Vera that stayed with him. Her calm face, her clear words, the way she listened. Maybe I should see her again. Raffi said aloud to himself, as if the universe was waiting. He heard a gentle voice behind him. You are early. He turned and saw her Vera standing just a few feet away. She wore a simple gray robe today, and her blue skin shimmered faintly in the Martian light. Her silver hair, flowing like threads of glass, moved gently as if touched by a breeze that didn't exist. Raffi blinked. You were looking for me. Yes, Vera replied. I wanted to know if you were well after yesterday. I also wish to ask, are you still open to knowing me? Raffi smiled nervously. Yeah, yes. I've never had someone take me so seriously before. I believe emotions matter, Vera said softly. Even those spoken in public, even those wrapped in humor. They walked slowly through the market together. Vera moved gracefully, like she belonged to a different rhythm. People turned to look, some curious, some amused, and some just surprised. Human-alien couples weren't too rare, but this pairing looked different. One simple man, one elegant alien. Something about it felt odd but right. They reached a small hill near the Biogarden Dome. It was quiet there, with green trees inside glass and soft benches shaped like moons. Raffi sat down. Vera sat beside him, folding her hands neatly. Vera, Raffi began, can I ask, why me? You're from an ancient species. Your people are wise, peaceful, and powerful. Why did you come to me? Vera took a moment before answering. Among my kind, emotions are quiet. We live long lives. We do not chase feelings like some other species, but I have always watched. I have always wondered what it means to feel deeply. She turned her glowing eyes toward him. Your cry, though loud, was real. It carried the shape of longing, pain, and hope. I could not ignore it, Raffi swallowed. So, was it love at first sight for you? Vera blinked. I do not know what love is yet, But I know what honesty feels like. And I wish to learn more. Raffi chuckled. You're more honest than most humans I know. Is that bad? She asked. No, he said quickly. It's refreshing. They sat in silence for a few moments. The biogarden's air smelled like flowers and mint. In the distance, small cleaning bots hummed softly. Raffi leaned back. Can I tell you something strange? Yes. I've always felt like I didn't belong. Even before I left Earth, I don't look special. I don't have big dreams. People pass by me all the time, and I just fade into the background. Vera looked at him with gentle eyes. I see you. The words were simple, but they landed in Raffi's heart like a warm light. You know, Raffi said, half smiling, if someone told me last week that I'd be sitting with an Elyari woman, talking about emotions and feelings, I'd have laughed. Would you laugh now? She asked. Raffi looked at her and shook his head. No, not anymore. Vera seemed pleased. Her face didn't show much, but her eyes brightened slightly. It was her version of a smile. Can I ask about your people? Raffi said. You're very calm. Do all Elyari talk like you? We are raised in quiet, Vera explained. We believe stillness is strength. Noise is useful, but silence brings truth. That's deep, Raffi muttered. Vera looked up at the sky. We live for centuries. It is easy to forget small joys. I chose to leave Elyar to learn. That is why I am here, Raffi nodded. And now you're trying to learn about humans? Not just humans, Vera said, but emotion, connection, meaning. She paused. You may think you are ordinary, Raffi, but to me, you are a rare signal in a galaxy full of empty messages. He looked at her, eyes wide. That's one of the nicest things anyone's ever said to me. Then perhaps I am learning. They both smiled now. After a while, Vera stood. I must return to my ship soon, but I hope we can meet again. Yeah, Raffi said, standing too. I'd like that. She gave a small bow, then turned and walked away slowly, her silver robe shining under the Martian sun. Raffi stood still, watching her go. He had no idea where this strange bond would lead. He didn't know if it was friendship, love, or something new entirely. But for the first time in a long while, his heart felt, noticed, and that was more than enough for now. Raffi stood in front of the floating crystal restaurant, hands in his pockets and heart beating fast. The sun had set, and the Martian sky was filled with stars and glowing airships. The restaurant hovered above the lake dome in central Mars City, shining like a diamond in the dark. Its surface was made of clear glass and light crystals, and it looked like something from a dream. Raffi looked down at his clothes. A clean shirt, simple jacket, polished shoes. He had never dressed fancy before. But tonight felt different. He was going to dinner with Vera. He still wasn't sure what to call this meeting. It wasn't a date, not really. She hadn't said anything romantic, but it wasn't casual either. There was something deep about her. When she spoke, she meant every word. That made everything feel serious, even if they were still just getting to know each other. As Raffi waited, the glass door slid open, and there she was. Vera. She wore a smooth silver outfit that glowed faintly in the dark, and a soft blue gem rested on her forehead. Her eyes sparkled under the lights, and when she saw him, she gave a quiet nod. You look amazing, Raffi said. Thank you, Vera replied. You are well groomed. That is respectful. Raffi chuckled. Well, I tried. They walked into the restaurant together. A soft tune played in the background, and gentle lights floated in the air like fireflies. The waiter, a floating eye orb, guided them to a clear table that looked like it was made of frozen water. As they sat, Vera placed her hands in the beam of a warm lamp above the table. You don't eat food, right? Raffi asked, watching her calmly absorb the light. Correct, Vera replied. My body converts light into energy. But I enjoy the ritual of meals, Raffi smiled. That's nice. It's more about being together, I guess. He ordered a dish of rice dumplings with spice sauce and a drink called orange mist. As he ate, slowly, he noticed Vera watching him with quiet interest. Is it strange to watch someone eat? He asked. A little, Vera replied softly. But I like learning. Human meals have texture, smell, warmth. Very different from light, Raffi laughed. Yeah, food is a big part of our lives. We eat when we're happy, sad, bored sometimes, just to pass the time. That sounds both useful and dangerous, Vera said, tilting her head. They both laughed. After a few moments, Raffi leaned forward. Can I ask something personal? Yes. You said your people live for centuries. Doesn't that make relationships hard? I mean, watching others grow old? Vera nodded slowly. It is difficult. That is why most Elyari choose partners among our kind. We value long silence and quiet companionship. But we also forget how to feel. She paused, her voice softer now. I was born on Elyar Prime. My mother was a knowledge keeper, my father a healer. I followed their path, but something felt missing. I wanted more than just peace. I wanted meaning. And you came here? Raffi asked. Yes, I joined the Elyari diplomatic circle. I've visited over 30 worlds. I met thousands of species, but none called to me until you. Raffi looked down, shy but touched. I still don't understand why me. You. We're not trying to impress anyone, Vera said. You spoke from the heart. That is rare, Raffi smiled slowly. I was just tired of being alone. They sat in silence for a while. Outside the glass walls, colorful birds flew over the lake dome. Lights shimmered across the water like moving stars. You said your people don't feel emotions easily, Raffi said. But yesterday, when you sat with me, I felt something in the way you looked at me. Vera nodded. You are right. It was new. It was warmth, curiosity, calmness. Sounds like a good start, Raffi said. Yes, Vera agreed. It is not yet love, but it could be. That sentence hit Raffi gently, like a soft wind. You know, he said after a pause, I was scared when you first walked up to me. I thought maybe it was a joke, or that you misunderstood me. Vera tilted her head. I did not misunderstand. I simply chose to answer your truth with mine. Raffi looked into her eyes. That's very Elyari of you, she blinked. Yes. And very human of you to be surprised. They both laughed again. Soon, the waiter brought a small flower-like dessert made of fruit jelly and sugar dust. Raffi offered some to Vera, forgetting for a moment that she didn't eat. She just looked at it and said, It is beautiful. Like a celebration, Raffi smiled. That's the idea. As the night went on, their words grew slower, softer. They talked about their worlds, their childhoods, their dreams. Vera listened closely, asking questions not just with words, but with quiet expressions. Raffi felt more seen than ever before. When the dinner ended, they walked out onto the sky bridge. Near the dome, the stars above Mars sparkled clearly, and a soft wind moved across the open air. Raffi looked up. Do you think this could really become something? Vera stood beside him, silent for a moment. Then she said, The future is uncertain, but I wish to walk toward it with you. Raffi felt a strange mix of peace and excitement. He wasn't sure where this was going, but for the first time, he didn't feel lost. Then let's see where it goes, he said. Vera nodded. Yes. They stood side by side, two souls from different stars, sharing one night under the same sky. The city behind them glowed. The lake below reflected light like a mirror. And somewhere inside both their hearts, something small and real had begun to grow. 2 days after their dinner at the floating crystal restaurant, Raffi and Vera met again, this time at the Mars City skyport. It was one of the largest travel hubs on the planet, filled with airships, shuttles, alien cargo pods, and glowing walkways that moved by themselves. Vera had invited Raffi to walk with her while she picked up a delivery from Ellior Prime. She had requested special crystals for meditation, something her people used to focus their thoughts. It will only take a few minutes, Vera said as they walked through the wide glass hallway. But I enjoy your company, so I invited you. I'm glad you did, Raffi replied with a smile. The skyport was buzzing with life. Families waited for flights. Merchants pushed carts filled with shiny tools and alien fruits. A group of robotic dogs barked playfully as they followed a technician. Loud announcements echoed above, switching between 5 languages. Raffi looked around. I always feel small in places like this. Yet you walk tall, Vera said. He glanced at her. Is that a compliment? Yes, she answered. A quiet one. They both smiled as they reached the cargo bay area. A strange sound filled the air like a low hum, followed by sharp static. Vera stopped walking. That sound, it is not normal. Raffi looked up. A cargo ship was landing nearby, but it wasn't following the usual slow pattern. It came down too fast, shaking the floor. A few alarms started to beep. Suddenly, several figures jumped out of the ship wearing dark cloaks and strange masks. They moved quickly, holding energy tools and devices that looked like weapons. Everyone down, shouted one of the skyport officers. People screamed. Some ran, others froze. The cloaked group spread out, forcing staff and guards to the ground. A few workers tried to press emergency buttons, but the invaders were fast. Pirates, Vera said calmly. Raffi's eyes widened. What? Here. They are not from Ellior space, she said. But I know the signs. They want to steal advanced cargo. One of the pirates turned and pointed a glowing tool at a family hiding behind a pillar. Without thinking, Raffi ran forward. Hey! He shouted, waving his arms. The pirate aimed at him instead, but before he could shoot, a blue shield appeared in front of Raffi. The energy bolt hit it and vanished. Vera stepped forward, her hand raised, eyes glowing bright. No more. A wave of blue light spread from her fingers, knocking 2 pirates off their feet. Raffi grabbed a nearby metal rod and swung it at the nearest attacker, hitting his shoulder. The pirate fell with a grunt. Raffi, stay near me, Vera called out. But Raffi was already moving, helping others get to safety, guiding a child back to her parents and using boxes as cover. More guards arrived, and a fight broke out between them and the pirates. Vera stayed calm, her shield protecting anyone who came close to her. She moved like water, silent, smooth, and strong. Her eyes never blinked. Her hands glowed with soft power. Raffi ducked behind a pillar and caught his breath. His heart was racing, but he felt something else too: purpose. He had never been in danger before, never been brave. But now something inside him was awake. Just then, one of the pirates grabbed Vera from behind, placing a weapon near her head. Raffi's heart dropped. Don't move, the pirate shouted. Vera stood still, her expression calm. Raffi stepped out. Let her go, the pirate laughed. Stay back, little hero. But Vera slowly turned her head and whispered something in her language. Her skin pulsed with bright light. The weapon shorted out, sparking in the pirate's hand. She pulled away and lifted her palm, sending a small wave of force that knocked the pirate to the floor. Moments later, the last pirate was captured by the guards. The area was finally clear. Emergency lights stopped flashing. People slowly stood up. The injured were helped away. Raffi dropped the metal rod he had used and looked at Vera, who was now kneeling beside a crying child. She placed her hand over the child's head, and the child stopped crying. You are safe now, she said gently. Raffi walked up, still breathing hard. You were amazing. So were you, Vera replied. I didn't even think. I just acted. You followed your heart. That is rare. A small group of officers approached them. One of them, a human named Officer Mela, saluted. Your actions were brave, both of you. The security footage shows you helped save at least 7 people. I didn't do it for attention, Raffi said quickly. I know, Officer Mela said with a smile. That's why it matters. The officer handed Raffi a small badge, an honor pin given to civilians who help during emergencies. You earned it, she said. Vera received a holographic token of recognition from the United Species Alliance. She looked at it quietly then. Passed it to Raffi. What are you doing? He asked. You kept more lives safe than I did. Take this. No, Vera, you protected me. We protected each other. They looked at each other, and in that moment, nothing needed to be said. There was respect, trust, and something else. Growing slowly but surely something deeper. Later that night, they stood near the same bench by the Biogarden Dome. The stars were bright. The city was quiet now. Raffi touched the honor pin on his jacket. You really think I did something special? Yes, Vera said softly. You were more than brave. You were true to yourself. He looked at her. And what about you? I broke a law of silence, she said with a small smile. I let myself feel fear and hope. Raffi took a slow breath. I never thought I'd feel needed, but today, I did. You were not alone, she replied. They sat in silence, side by side once more, not knowing what the future would bring, but knowing one thing for sure, they would face it together. It had been 3 days since the Skyport incident. The news spread fast. All over Mars City, people were talking about the brave human and the calm Elyari who helped stop a group of pirates. Raffi had become a quiet hero. His photo appeared on news screens, and a few shopkeepers even gave him free tea as thanks. Still, Raffi stayed humble. He didn't want attention. He only cared about one thing, Vera. But something had changed in her. Since the attack, Vera had been quieter than usual. She still met Raffi every day, still walked beside him and listened to his thoughts. But her eyes looked distant, as if her mind was somewhere else far away, beyond the stars. On the 4th day, she finally spoke the words he had been waiting for. The Elyari Council has summoned me, she said. Raffi looked up from his tea. The council? Yes, they saw the footage. They believe I have gone too far. Too far? For what? For helping people. Vera's voice remained calm. The Elyari are strict with emotion. I showed feeling in public. I formed a deep connection with someone outside our kind. That is not our way, Raffi frowned. So, what does the council want? They wish to question me. To test my actions and my bond with you. Raffi's chest tightened. They think I'm a problem. They think emotions are a risk. Especially between Elyari and humans. He was quiet for a moment. Then he said, I want to come with you. Vera looked at him. It will not be easy. Elyar Prime is not like Mars. It is quiet, cold, full of still minds. You may feel alone. I've already felt alone, Raffi said, but not with you. She stared at him for a long time, then nodded. Then we go together. 2 days. Later, Raffi stood aboard an Elyari shuttle, staring out the window as stars passed by. The journey was smooth and silent. Everything inside the ship was white and silver. Even the chairs felt like they were made from soft light. Vera sat beside him, her hands folded, her face peaceful. How do you feel? She asked. Nervous, Raffi admitted, but not scared. That is good. As they landed on Elyar Prime, Raffi's eyes widened. The planet was beautiful, but in a strange, quiet way. No cities, no loud machines. Just large crystal towers rising from green plains, glowing softly in the sun. The air felt clean, and even the wind moved slowly. They were greeted by 2 tall Elyari dressed in white robes. Their faces were calm but unreadable. Welcome, Vera of House Velen, one of them said. You and your human companion will be. Guided to the council hall, Raffi felt a chill. He had never been called companion before. It sounded polite but distant. The council hall was wide and round, made of clear stone. 7 Elyari elders sat in a circle. They all looked similar tall, glowing eyes, calm faces, but Raffi could feel their power. Vera stood in the center. Raffi stood beside her. One elder leaned forward slightly. Vera, you have broken a code. You showed emotion. You created a bond with an outsider. Why? Vera answered without fear. Because I chose to. Another elder spoke. The human shouted in pain. That is not how Elyari form bonds. Vera replied, that is how humans do it sometimes. Their feelings are loud, but that does not make them false. Then an elder looked at Raffi. Human, why do you follow our daughter here? Raffi took a breath. His voice was firm, because she listened when no one else did. Because she saw me when I felt invisible, and because I care about her. One of the elders raised a hand. You risked your life in the skyport. Why? Because people needed help, and because Vera was there. I couldn't just stand and watch. Do you love her? The question hit Raffi like a lightning bolt. He looked at Vera, whose eyes were fixed on him, not forcing, just waiting. I don't know if it's love yet, he said honestly. But it's something strong, and I want to protect it. I want to know what it becomes. The room was silent. The lead elder stood. Very well. You shall be tested. Tested? Raffi asked. Yes, to prove your bond is not emotion without reason. You will face the trial of the mind, the heart, and the memory. Vera stepped forward. He is not Elyari. Is this fair? If your connection is real, he will endure, the elder said. Vera looked at Raffi. You do not have to do this. Raffi smiled slightly. I know, but I will. The first test was the trial of the mind. Raffi stood in a quiet room with glowing walls. A voice spoke to him from nowhere, asking deep questions. What is truth without proof? What do you value more, peace or freedom? If you could save one life but lose many, would you? He answered each question with honesty, not trying to sound perfect. Just real. The second test was the trial of the heart. He was placed in a chamber where he saw images, memories, feelings, fears. He saw his childhood, his failures, the time he cried alone after another rejection. He saw Vera walking away from him and felt the pain of that thought. But then he saw her turning back, reaching for his hand. He stayed strong. The last was the trial of memory. He was shown his time with Vera, every conversation, every smile, every pause. He was asked, was it real? And he answered, yes. Later, back in the council hall, the elders spoke again. You are unusual, human, but honest. And your bond is not made of shallow need. It has roots. Vera stood straight. What will you decide? The lead elder spoke. You may stay with him if you choose. But if you do, you must leave Elyari society. You will no longer serve as a diplomat. You will live as an outsider. Vera closed her eyes, then turned to Raffi. He shook his head slowly. Don't leave your life behind for me, Vera. Not unless you truly want this. I do, she said clearly. I do not choose between duty and emotion. One choose meaning. I choose us. The room was silent. Then for the first time in years, the lead elder smiled. Then go. Walk your own path. Later, as the two of them stood at the edge of a quiet Elyari field, Raffi asked softly, Are you sure? Yes, Vera said. I have lived in silence long enough. I now choose sound your sound. They walked hand in hand toward the shuttle, their future unknown but their hearts sure. The shuttle left Elyar Prime in complete silence. Raffi sat by the window, watching stars drift across the black sky. His heart was full of mixed feelings, hope, fear, and something warm that he didn't know how to name. Beside him sat Vera, peaceful as always, but something in her eyes had changed. She wasn't just calm anymore, she was steady, like someone who had made a big decision and was now walking forward with clear purpose. "I still can't believe it," Raffi whispered. "You gave up everything." "I did not give up," Vera said softly. "I chose something different. But your work, your place on the council, your name. I still have my name. But now it belongs to me." Raffi looked at her for a long time. He had never met anyone like her, someone so gentle, yet so strong. And now she had left her home planet for him. It didn't feel real. "What happens now?" he asked. "We begin again," Vera replied. "On our terms." They returned to Mars City a week later. The moment they stepped out of the shuttle, people recognized them. Small drones floated by to capture images. Reporters shouted polite questions. But Raffi and Vera didn't stop. They walked quietly through the crowd and took the SkyTrain home. Back in his small apartment, things felt strange at first. Raffi had only one bedroom, a simple kitchen, and a soft chair by the window. He looked around nervously. "I didn't expect a guest," he said. Vera stepped inside and looked around. Her glowing eyes scanned the space slowly. "This place feels like you," she said. "You mean small and a little messy?" "I mean honest and warm," Raffi smiled. "You're too kind." "I am truthful." They laughed. That evening, Vera sat by the window, absorbing light from the small solar lamp Raffi kept for power cuts. Raffi made dinner nothing special. Just rice and vegetables with spice. They didn't speak much, but the silence was comfortable. After the meal, they sat together. Raffi looked at her hands. "So, what do you want to do now?" Vera turned to him. "Learn, explore, build something. Together?" "If you wish." "I do," Raffi said without thinking. Vera tilted her head. "You said those words before, the day we met. I remember, you took them seriously." "I still do." The next morning, they visited a space known as the Unity Center, a place for humans and aliens to share ideas, culture, and work. Vera introduced herself to the organizers and offered to teach Eliari meditation and light energy skills. The people were amazed. Raffi helped translate where needed, and soon, they were invited to lead a weekly group. It became their new life, calm and meaningful. But not everyone was happy. One evening, as Raffi cleaned up after class, a stranger approached him, a human man in a sleek business suit. "You're the one who made the Eliari leave their council, aren't you?" The man asked coldly. Raffi stepped back. "Who are you?" "I work for a human Eliari trade group," the man said. "You've caused problems. The Eliari don't trust humans like they used to. They think we're too emotional." "I didn't ask Vera to leave," Raffi said firmly. "She made her own choice." The man gave a fake smile. "Let me give you advice. Stay quiet. Keep your little story small. Don't try to change too much." Raffi watched him walk away. That night he told Vera what happened. She listened carefully and placed her hand on his. "Fear makes people blind," she said, "but light always returns." Over the next few weeks, things grew slowly but beautifully. Raffi and Vera made a daily routine. Morning walks through the solar gardens, teaching together at the Unity Center. Evenings full of quiet talks, shared memories, and soft laughter. They bought a new apartment, simple, but bigger than before. It had a round meditation room for Vera and a small balcony where Raffi could grow earth plants. Every day, they learned something new about each other. Vera discovered the joy of music. She liked slow piano songs and gentle rain sounds. Raffi learned to sit in silence, true silence, and feel peace without needing words. Sometimes they disagreed. One evening, Raffi wanted to visit Earth for a short trip, but Vera was unsure. She feared it would be too noisy, too chaotic for her calm way of life. Maybe one day, she said softly. When my heart is ready, Raffi nodded. He respected her rhythm. She respected his spirit, and the bond between them grew deeper. One afternoon, as they rested on the balcony, Raffi watched the sky. A soft breeze touched his face. Vera sat beside him, hands folded. "Do you ever miss Elia Prime?" he asked gently. "Sometimes," she said, "but not the silence, not the rules." "What do you miss then?" "The stars," she said. "And the sky that never speaks," Raffi smiled. "Well, you still have the stars, and you still have someone who listens." Vera turned to him. "Yes, I have you." He reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. "I think," he said slowly, "that I'm falling in love with you." Vera was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. "I think I am learning what love feels like. It feels like this." They sat in silence again. Not because they had nothing to say, but because everything had already been said. Just in the way they looked at each other. Later that night, Raffi stood on the rooftop, staring at the stars. He thought about the man he used to be, the one who had shouted in the market, tired of being invisible. He smiled softly. That one loud moment had changed his life. Now he wasn't alone. He was part of something real, something rare. And as Vera stepped up beside him, her hand gently resting in his, he knew her choice had not just changed her life. It had saved his. Raffi stood at the edge of the Unity Center's new garden, a gentle wind brushing his hair. The sun was setting behind the Martian towers, casting a soft golden glow over the city. Lights from floating ships flickered in the sky, and peaceful. Music played from a speaker hidden among the trees. He took a slow breath. Today was special. In the garden around him, humans and aliens gathered quietly. There were families, children, workers, students, even a few Eliuri standing among the guests. They had come not for trade, not for politics, but for something far more simple. For Raffi and Vera, the bond that started with one loud shout in the marketplace had become something powerful. People had followed their journey from distance, through news and stories. Some were curious, some doubtful, but many inspired. And now Raffi stood waiting. In a clean white robe, with a single flower pinned to his chest. His hands trembled. A little. A voice came from behind. "Are you nervous?" He turned and saw Malik, one of the Unity Center teachers, smiling warmly. Raffi chuckled. "A little. It's normal. Even among the stars, this kind of moment only happens once." Raffi nodded. "Yeah, it's strange. I was alone just a few months ago. Felt like no one saw me. And now?" Raffi looked up. "Now, I feel like I matter. Not because I changed, but because someone saw the real me and stayed." Malik touched his shoulder. "Then you're ready." A gentle tone played through the garden. The guests turned to the entrance, where a soft path of floating lights had formed. And there, walking slowly and gracefully, was Vera. She wore a flowing robe of silver and blue. Around her shoulders were tiny crystals from Elia Prime, and in her hand, she carried a single white blossom from Mars. Her face was calm, but her eyes sparkled brighter than any light in the sky. Raffi's breath caught. She stepped forward and stood beside him. "You came," he whispered. "I always would," she answered. They turned to face the garden. The officiant, a woman from the Unity Center, stepped forward. "Today," she said gently, "we witnessed something rare. A union not of worlds or species, but of hearts. Raffi, human of Earth. Vera, child of Elia. You have walked your own path, against fear, doubt, and silence. Do you now choose to walk it together?" "I do," Raffi said. "I do," Vera replied. "Then let this garden be your witness. And let your bond be your journey." They turned to each other. Vera held out her hand. Raffi took it. For a long moment, they stood like that, no loud cheers, no big celebration. Just the soft sound of wind, the light of stars, and the quiet. hum of two souls becoming one. That night, after the ceremony, Raffi and Vera sat alone on the balcony of their home. The city lights flickered below. A soft breeze passed between them. "You didn't have to say yes," Raffi said softly. "But I did," Vera replied. "Not because I was asked, but because I believed." "In what?" he asked. "In the strength of small things," she said. "In the truth of honest voices. And in the way you looked at me, not with wonder, but with respect." Raffi turned to her. "I still wonder, every day. I wonder how someone like you found someone like me." Vera placed her hand over his heart. "Because someone like you listened when no one else did." They sat in silence. The stars above Mars were brighter than usual that night. Weeks passed. Raffi and Vera continued their work at the Unity Center, helping humans and aliens understand each other better. More El Yari began to visit Mars, curious about this new kind of bond. A few even stayed to learn, choosing to feel rather than only think. One day, a message arrived from the El Yari Council. Vera opened it carefully. It was short but clear. "You are not forgotten. We watch and we learn. Walk your path, Vera of light. The stars change with time." She showed the message. To Raffi, "They are not angry. They are curious." "You changed them," he said. "No," she replied. "We did." Raffi sometimes still walked alone through the Martian market, the same place where it all began. But now, when he passed the fruit stalls, or the lanterns, or the singing aliens, smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because he had found something rare. One day, a young woman approached him. She was human, carrying a small bag of spices. "Are you the man who shouted that no one wanted to marry him?" she asked, half laughing. Raffi rubbed the back of his neck. "I guess I was." "And now?" He looked up at the sky, where a silver dot, the El Yari moonship, floated gently. "Now," he said, "I'm the man who found someone who listened, someone who answered, and someone who stayed." The young woman smiled. "That's a good story." "It's not a story," Raffi said. "It's just life. Sometimes life listens when you least expect it." That evening, Vera joined him on the rooftop again. "I saw you smiling today," she said. "Yeah," Raffi replied. "I remembered how far we've come." She looked at him, her eyes calm and full of light. "And how far we can go." He took her hand, gently but surely. "To the stars?" Vera smiled. "Beyond." They sat under the Martian sky, side by side, not as two lost beings, but as one journey, one voice, one bond that had started with a simple cry and grown into something powerful. Not magic, not fate, just the quiet strength of being heard.